Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the California Green Ribbon Schools Network statewide network meeting. This is for past, present, and future applicants. And if you are here, you are looking to work on sustainability, environmental literacy, and just making the place that you work a better place. So you're in the right place. Um, we're going to get started right away with just networking and get to know people in the room by breaking you off into breakout rooms so you can meet a smaller group. And remember, when you go into these groups, introduce yourself and just with your name, title, school district or school, and really what you're interested in when you come to a meeting like this. But really, I want you to also talk about some successes this year. So I'm going to put a question in the chat right now that has the topic of what was successful this year in your green journey. What's something that you can say that we did something well? Or if something wasn't really going well and you're still working on that, what's something you're working on, striving for? So in the chat, you're going to notice a question. As soon as I can find it. Too many tabs open. I don't know if anybody else has that problem, but I do. Oh, Paulina, thank you. Go and grab it and put it in the chat for us. What was something that went well this year in your green journey? And don't forget to introduce yourself. So, Paulina, can you break us all up into groups, into small breakouts, so we can get to know each other?
Does
Oh,
fine.
introducing myself before we go to breakouts. George Garcia, program lead. Some of you know that, some of you don't. Good afternoon. And let's go ahead and get you into breakouts. There you go. See you back in about 6 minutes.
We still have we still have a growing number of interest in the Green Ribbon program, and you can see this year, similar to the past years, we had a lot of folks awarded, and we still have some folks who were not awarded. So we know we have work to do to get everybody over the finish line. But I will say this year, every district that applied did achieve, which was really exciting. It was really exciting to see that. So anyway, that's the updated data. And of course, if you want to see that by county breakdown or by region, you can also see that. But just letting folks know that that particular page is also updated. And then alongside what's already updated on the CDE website. And then the other thing here is just hearing about some of the promising practice profiles. If you go to the promising practice profiles page, which is linked there, we have added a few since we last met. We added a couple more stories from around the state. So we've got Laguna Beach and Pittsburgh, but we added Modesto City and Sacramento City and Rio Elementary School District. So these are folks that were not necessarily awarded this year, but awarded from the past. And so we would love to capture if folks are on the call and actually did achieve the award this year. Anybody here, we'd love to capture your story in a promising practice profile or a story, and get that out there. And if folks are attending who've, had this award before and would love to get a deeper look at it, then we'd love to support you doing that. So that's just a quick kind of note about what we're hoping to see, um, to make this data feel really real to people. So that's that. And I'll just pause and see what kind of questions do people have, because I imagine people are curious about, how this has grown in this last year and who were some of the awardees. So I'll just pause and see if there are any questions.
I have a question real quick, and I sound like someone from an infomercial. So how do they get a hold of you, Andrew, if they want to be on a promising profile?
Sure, I'll put my email in here and then I can also put it in the chat box. But feel free to reach out if you'd like to have a promising practice profile. We'd be happy to do that. Great. Any other questions or comments that people wanted to elevate? All right, well then I'll turn it back to you, George, just to kind of take people through. I know there are folks here who want to get a bit of a better sense of like, well, what's really going on with this program, knowing that it started as a federal program and a connection to a state program, but what's going on in that context?
Thanks, Sandra. So this year has been a kind of different year in that our federal So the award itself started as a federal award. And some of you know that, but some of you don't. It was a federal award that allowed every state to nominate five for a federal honor from the U.S. Department of Education. And then the state of California, being as large as it is and having so much interest in this work, developed a statewide award that was, in some sense, a feeder program for those five, but it also was a way to apply and get feedback and support as you progress towards whole school sustainability. And so there were levels of bronze, silver, and gold developed just on achievement level. So it's not just five, it's anyone that applies based on their achievement level will be honored. Well, this year, the federal award wasn't able to accept five from every state. In fact, the portal that we nominate to never opened. And the person that was in charge of coordinating that is no longer in that position. Many of you know there's a lot of stuff going on out there. So, knowing that at CDE, we started to prepare for just developing our state award program to be more robust and self sustaining. And so that's what we did. I want to assure you, we will be open for business. The state award will continue. I assure you, we are open and we are continuing to grow. We continue to see the program grow every year to larger capacity, larger scale, and we are in some sense self-sustaining. We can continue this work and we will. So don't think it's going anywhere. Um, and I want you to know that the same system will still apply. Reaching out to CDE for your applications in mid-June. That's still going to be a part of this. Reaching out to us for application reviews, still going to be going strong. And applying and getting recognized at a state award ceremony is still going to happen. Now, our top five, just like this year, are being recognized in the California State Recognition Program, are going to be recognized the same way every year. For the unforeseen future, we'll see what happens. The federal government may end up coming back online, but as far as our state goes, we are fine. And we have full commitment from our state superintendent, our deputy, my director, anyone and everyone at CDE is supporting this program. So it's not going anywhere. And we expect it to be strong and continue growing throughout the years. Are there any questions about the award or the way it's functioning?
Uh, I would like to ask a question about the media day because I noticed that in they sent out a list of for the school that were awarded. There is a day for media, so I'm not sure exactly what that day is about. Are we supposed to write like a little article for the media, or what will be happening on that day?
Can you expand on what you're referring to? I don't know what that is.
So in the letter that we received for the invitation to the award, so in after they listed the school that won the award, they also listed the days. There is something about like media day for.
Oh, that's a great point. Okay, so every year we have a social media spotlight of all of our honorees. And you're referring to the calendar that indicates
Yes,
when your school is going to be honored. So
yes.
that day and time, we're going to be posting on all three of our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And there'll be a short summary of your achievements, some photos. And so that's just so that you can amplify that by liking it, sharing it with your district, sharing it with your community. And so we can get the word out there of the great work you're doing. Great
Okay.
question. We don't talk about
Because
that.
I wasn't sure. I'm like, are people coming to the school or what's going? So I'm not sure. Okay, thank you for clarifying
No
it.
problem. And I'm going to take this moment to kind of share what we have up today and on Twitter. Let's see if I can pull it up. That's a great question. So here we are. This is Twitter, but on Facebook and Instagram, something similar, where we have photos and a small description of what schools have been doing. This is a great learning platform too. Like this month of May, for all May, we're going to have at least one every weekday, Monday through Friday, with the small summary and some pictures. So this is a place to get some inspiration, to learn about others in this community, because this is a community. You're not alone. This network indicates and really demonstrates how we are not sitting alone at one school as a champion doing this work alone. Connect with these folks. I can say on good authority, anyone that you see here on Twitter, and anyone on the screen right here would not mind getting a reach out from another Green Ribbon School applicant because we're better together and we're stronger together. So please reach out and learn from some of these stories. Good question. Thank you. Any other questions about the award and how it's the award program and how it's functioning moving forward?
I have a question. I don't know if it's in the subject or in the theme, but I will ask it. So is there like some criterion to know how to have the honorary level? Or I don't know if it's a level, but
And also because we have 3 campuses, so this year we applied only for one. But for next year, do you think it's better to apply for 3 campuses difference or only for one school and with the 3 campuses into it?
First question is yes, there's a way to look at you can reach out to me, send me an email, and I can go through your scorecard with you and give you some tips and suggestions on how to improve. But if nothing else, with our conversation, you're going to have all your raw scores to see where you are doing great and where you can continue to grow. But I've been doing this long enough where I have a Rolodex of different support systems and items to support you. And just for the show of hands, shake your hand really hard if I've done an application review with you before. Yeah, 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 yeah. And many of those are now Green Achievers. So it's really a part of this program. It's not a bring me your best and I will see if you're good enough. It's really not that. It's really we're working through this together and I can support you in
okay. Thank you so much.
To the second question, if you have multiple schools in your private school, then you have a choice. You can apply as a single school with a school application, or I would say apply as a district in some sense with a district application to all 3 campuses. But then you're speaking about achievements at all 3, and you want to show saturation or like you want to show evidence at all 3 that are doing really well. And if one school is like a leader, start with that one. I would say that's probably a strong way to go and have that be the lighthouse to then follow up with the other 2. So I kind of said 2 different things. Your choice, of course, you can talk about holistically as a district application or individuals if they are unique enough to have their own special story. But if it was me, I'd probably go with one school, make it really strong application, and then replicate if you can have separate stories in the other 2 that are unique to them, but you have a good, strong one already developed. I think you and I should probably talk in an application review and we can have a better idea of what you want to do. Did that help or just confuse everything?
Thank you. Very helpful.
Any other questions? Back to Andra.
Okay. Great. Well, I'm excited that to just kind of to talk with people to think about next steps here. So let's see, going back over here to the agenda, there's a couple things that I thought it would be worth sharing. I know for myself, so there are people here on the call who, of course, are like, all right, we've got the application, like we just heard from some folks, we did the application, like what's next? How do we go to the next level? And then I know there are folks on the call too who are thinking like, we didn't get an application in, but we're really interested, right? So I'll kind of speak to both of these audiences here. And just start off with the first thing that George said, or one of the last things he said, which is if you did do an application, definitely do an application review. It's going to be super, super, super helpful. The other part of it is, I would say, is thinking about how to summarize this year and setting yourself up for next year and for quick wins. So if you did do an application, I'm going to show you on the Green Ribbon resource page, and I'm just going to pop that in because I don't think I put it in yet. And then I'll share my screen. I'm going to show you a couple different resources that you might want to use here during this point of the season and where you're at. So if you go to the Green Ribbon resource page, and I'll just show it here on my screen, I'm going to come back up to that part. But if you come down here to where it says communication resources and sharing out about it, there's a couple different summary examples. And I'll show you what's embedded in a few of these summary examples is the idea of also showing your next steps. So I happened to get this award when I was at the site level. We did it a couple years in a row at Bishop O'Dowd. And then also when I worked at a county office of ed, we applied to do more of like the district award, even though we were a county office, it's that same one. And so what it looked like for me to try to summarize for my community, like how we did is when I was at the site level, what I did was I said, okay, look, here's pillar one, and here are some of the highlights. Like here's some of the great things that we got scored well on, right? Because George mentioned like you get your score back and it says like, yay, thumbs up to these things, but it also shows you like where you have room to did for my community is I said we scored on these things, but we also have these areas for opportunity. So here are some things that we could do to get to the next level. And I think that that's a really helpful way for you right now as you celebrate your success, if you did achieve this award, is to think about showcasing it as like great things we did, areas for growth, great things we did, areas for growth. And I'll show a different version of that because that was one that I did, it was like a decade ago now. I did it again when I was at the county office. So same idea, showing a summary. So like, here's what the award was. Here's how we did. Here's our status. And then here's what could be some next steps and some quick wins for us if we want to score better on this application and keep deepening the work. So I recommend that as like using this moment of like wrapping up a season and going forward if you did have an application in to do it in that way because it feels really positive for folks when they can see, oh yeah, like this is what we scored as, and then here are some concerns and here are some ways that we could improve. So kind of framing it as like this continuous improvement journey that we're on, I think can be really, really powerful. And there's a couple different templates here so that you don't have to start from scratch. So if you're looking to create a document like that in your community, there's a document here where you can just do that same thing, highlight concerns, next steps, and quick wins. So do feel free to use to your advantage some of these resources that are here. Or if I know some folks are here and they're like, oh, I need to present this to my board because we won the award and we want them to know. So there's also a slide template if you want to do a board presentation. It has just kind of blank spaces where you can show your highlights of what you achieved. So hopefully those will be some useful tools for you. And then if you go back up to this section up here, if you haven't started yet and you're thinking, okay, I'm really inspired by what I saw and I'd like to do it, there's a couple different resources here. There's like a project management template, and I'll show what that looks like. So basically, it's just a way for you to kind of wrap your head around all the different sections of the application. So it's got, and this is based on last year's application, but it breaks it down where like, okay, I know I need to do this narrative, I need to answer these cross-cutting questions, and it says who might be the likely people to do that work. And then for each pillar, there's example application questions. And then again, like who is the likely person to answer those questions? So that can get you started if you're a first-time applicant. If you're somebody who prefers to see it more as a project management tool, like in a spreadsheet format, this is the same concept, but in a spreadsheet format. So it's got like here's what we are going to need for this section, for the narrative and the cross-cutting questions and the energy. So it's got space to say, here's what we need, here's who's going to answer it. And then you can click your status of like, how far are you along in that process? And the best way to use this one, and same with the other one, is just to make a copy. Once you make a copy, I'll just show you what it looks like. Oh dear. Oh, maybe I have to download it. Sorry, you might need to download it because it's in view only. So that might be the way to do it, is to download it, and then you can play around with it a little bit more. So that's that. Now, if you're a return applicant and you're thinking, okay, I want to, keep the movement going, you can use the same type of thing. But you'll see here we added a column for those who are return applicants where you can say, okay, this is what our most recent score was. And this is like what we think if we make these improvements, this is what we think we can get. So it just kind of helps you like level up if you're looking to level up, because it tells you how many points were possible. And then you can put in your score from the scorecard that you get sent if you just applied. So those are just a couple of like the really in the weeds project management tools that people might be looking for as you wrap up this season and know like, okay, I need to get myself teed up for the next one. Because the application will be coming out in June. And then there's just a slew of other resources on the website, technical guides and other things that you can use. There's example applications. So hopefully all those different resources will help you get where you want to get. There's also some examples of like calendars of how to like sequence this and how to think about that. So those are just ways to like get your traction going. You might be thinking like hearing me say that like that is insane. We're just trying to wrap up the school year. It is, right? Like this is like a time to start thinking about what's the right tools so that I can finally have that conversation that people have been deferring me on, right? For so long. Because that's really common in this application is just to be like, this isn't the right time. Give me when it's quieter. And it's like, well, it's about to be quieter. So you can try for that. And then the other thing I would say is as you're wrapping up your year, this is kind of when everything's being celebrated. And a big part of the Green Ribbon program is documenting the success of your year, right? So this next application is going to be due by November. So you're really speaking to this school year right now when you're doing that application. And so that's why we're recommending like, okay, think about how to capture and document data from this year before it's over. And I even put a note here in the agenda. I recommended it's mostly thinking about in particular pillar 3. All those kind of curriculum stories that you want to capture. It's a really good time of year to like see, okay, folks, what did we achieve in our, our education for sustainability or in our environmental ed? Like what are the outcomes of that achievement? So this time of year is a really good time to do that. And I'll even say like my kids go to a school and I'm going to get them to do the green ribbon application this next year. I'm so excited. I told them that and they were like, "Oh no." But I was like, "Yes, this is going to be great." But one thing that I'm doing with them is helping them to capture what they're doing for outdoor learning. I just did a professional development with them in April, at the tail end of April, and I said, "Hey, this month coming up, this of May is Outdoor Learning Living Schoolyard Month." So I said, how about we like document what we're doing and really try to capture it so that we have some really cool data to show in our application next year for the green ribbon. So they were like, all right, we can maybe do that. So I set them up with a little spreadsheet that's going to help them um, determine or help them show what they're doing for the outdoor learning. So I'll just show you all what it looks like so you just get a slight idea of what a document like that could be. And it's so simple, it's so basic, but I'll share my screen and show you. It's a K-8. So what I did is I set them up and I just said, okay, it's Living Schoolyard Month. Here's the directions. You're going to tell me where on the campus you did it, take one photo and give me one sentence of what you did. And hopefully you're going to take them out there more than once. So I made space. I'm like, this is eager, but maybe take them out there 3 times. And each time just take a quick photo and then tell me what you did, right? And so I just gave this to them yesterday. That's why it's blank. But I had my kid's 4th grade teacher, he said, I saw the document, I took a photo, I took them to the little redwood area, and I'm going to put in the description. So I was like, here you go. Now you have it. So this is like a one way that you might be able to help other teachers like input what they're doing so you get those really shiny stories so that when it comes time to write those narratives, you like have it all in one place. So I'll pause there. That was a lot of resources, probably too much, but let me know what kind of questions you all have about getting yourself ready for next year's application.
Can I ask, is there any kind of like self-survey or self-assessment to kind of determine if a school is maybe ready to or not to apply?
George, yeah, go for it.
Yes, there is. There absolutely is. So let me go ahead and share that with you. It's in that same website from Cali. Oops, wrong one. There we go. So you were over, if you were looking earlier, you're probably on this homepage where it had different project management and so, et cetera. But if you scroll over a little bit to the applicant toolkit, this to me is if you're applying, you can just go from top to bottom. What is a green school? Here's a great interactive graphic of different opportunities. But here's a self-assessment tool that takes all the questions and makes them into quick questions. This is what you would be doing. You can make a copy of this. You can do it any way you want to. You can put an X here, you can put it now. That's we're doing it soon. We can do it, or farther along in the future, we can do it. But once you start filling these in, you can get an idea of how they're doing. And this takes literally 2 minutes. I've done it in presentations across the state, and I usually give 5 minutes for it. But it doesn't take too long, where you can just fill this up and down and start getting an idea of what areas in the application you're already doing and what you can do quickly and what you can plan for it for the future. But that's already here. So is a bunch of other stuff, timelines, reflective team ideas. They're all here on this website. So great question. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that helps a lot. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions or even comments, or other folks who've done this and kind of gone through this round of like finishing out the season, looking ahead to the next? Would love to hear anybody else who wanted to elevate their own perspective on that. That'd be great.
I think something we found in Fremont Unified School District, we've got 42 schools. And, one of the big challenges is the district office holds a lot of the information that schools don't have access to. So we've had to build a lot of communication and relationships. I was sharing just a very simple example of that challenge is that the accounting department holds the billing information for our utilities, and they track the amount that they pay, but they don't track the usage. So we've had to go back and reverse engineer all that. So we've learned how to do many of those things. But I'd say the other important part of our learning this year was, we had two schools that achieved recognition this year, and throughout the process, they worked together on their applications. So as one school was saying something about health, the other school will go, oh yeah, we also do that. Or, one school is writing about their science curriculum, and because we're a unified school district, we all have the same science curriculum, and they're able to support each other in those applications. So I think, if you're in a district with many school sites, if you can set up cohorts of schools where they're working on the applications together, because there's so much commonality within a district, they will probably have an easier time writing that application together than individually.
Super helpful. Thanks, Nate. Yeah, and it's good to just like what you said. It's about relationships. So now's the time to build those relationships out and make sure that people like you're able to be in communication with folks and kind of establishing that network even within your own district. I really, really appreciate that. And then I think I see a question in the chat, maybe how best to connect with school facilities team for all the behind the scenes. Yeah, it's that I think is a really, really important thought, is just really thinking about like facilities and how to get access to that data. I know for myself, even when I was working at the county office, like getting access to all the utility bills and building that trust. Like I remember I had to stand there at the filing cabinet. I wasn't allowed to make copies or take them anywhere. I had to like stand there and do it all right there. So, and then after the first year of them seeing me do it, I was like, look, I was just trying to get us an award. And then the second year, they're like, okay, you can bring those back to your desk now. So just like building that like trust over time of like what's allowed and what kind of data you're allowed to have access to is really important.
Andrea, I could add a comment here. We are a 9 through 12 district, and we actually did something clever. We had a group of students who were pretty tech savvy, and we connected them with our facilities director and kind of built trust. And first, they were holding on to their bills like this. And we said, students just want to learn. And slowly, they developed trust, and they actually analyzed the entire energy usage, including our solar, how much we are offsetting. And they actually found a discrepancy and got like $25,000 back in bills from PG&E. So now everyone wants the students to audit them.
I love that. In fact, we had a similar experience with Ravenswood School District. We did it. It wasn't with students, but because it was an elementary school district, but we did the same thing and we saved them $15,000. It was just that like nobody had really done this audit, right? And it was like all we needed to do was like merge 2 meter datas and we just save so much money. So I love that. Thank you for sharing. Well, George, back to you then to get people set up to be thinking in breakout rooms, maybe.
Well, you got me thinking. There's two things I want to say. Number one, if you just received the Green Ribbon Schools Award and you're about to share it out with your board, it's your time to shine. You can leverage this moment, and it's important to do so. You're going to be in front of a board. You're going to be showing the superintendent and board members, we just got this award. Isn't this great? But we're only bronze so far. We'd like to get higher. We'd love to have your support. And you're putting that out in front of a large group. That's kind of a nice way of saying, we're doing well. We can do better. Let's keep going. And the award is a definite way to connect that. And then I also wanted to say, I saw Christy Benincourt is here, and she's from San Benito High School District, and she is in facilities. She is that position that we're trying to reach out to as educators, and we don't always have a way to do it. Well, I was talking to her earlier this morning, and she said, well, sometimes as a facilities director, I'm reaching out to the curriculum people, and I can't get a hold of them. So, Christy, I was going to call you out and ask, what would in your space, if someone's calling you from a school district and it's a cold call, what's a way that you'd like to hear? I mean, what's from your perspective, what's it look like when someone calls you, and maybe a way that you would say would be a great way for you to hear it, or other facilities directors to hear a call like that?
I think from where I sit, and our school is super big. We have like 3,400 students and over 400 employees. So I get lots of cold calls from employees. And so just as the facilities manager, I appreciate, even if it's on my cell phone, like give me a call and follow up with a text, because that text is a reminder, just because, most of us are so busy all the time. But like what I have found, and I'm in kind of a weird position because I've written our green ribbon application with the help of only one science teacher. So today when George was here, we talked a little bit about how important it is to have a team, like get that English teacher involved, get other people involved, because there's so much that happens on your campus and our campuses that we don't know, but it's great information to share in the green ribbon. But as far as getting a hold of your facilities manager, I appreciate the cell phone call and then following up with a text.
Thank you, Christy. And many of us here are probably educators or supporting educators, so we don't realize that education in the classroom, there's a lot of backstage that goes on. The facilities, we wouldn't have a place to work. We wouldn't have clean air to breathe. I mean, there's so much that goes on to the way that our school sites are developed, and facilities managers are a big part of that. They are a major part of that. So that's the teamwork that is inherently built through this application. It engineers those conversations that would never happen otherwise. So thank you, Christy, for being able to be called out in this moment, because it is really important that we all see each other as team members, not just the district or the school, and how we feel separated sometimes. We're not. We're all together. Thank you so much. So that was not the best segue, but I think I'm going to go ahead and segue into a reflective time. You've heard a lot during today's meeting, and I want you to have some time to talk to each other, reflect on what's happening at your school or district, and what your challenges are, maybe some of the things that you're thinking about working on and preparing for in this part of the year for next year's application. So I'm going to put some questions in the chat, and I want to break you up into groups again so you can talk to each other and get some ideas and get that energy flowing. So when you walk away from this meeting today, you have a homework item, you have something to work on. So thank you, Paulina. Paulina went ahead and put those questions in. Just reflect. The topics are sharing, reflecting, questions, goals, and hopefully some commitments as we move out of this conversation, where we feel great when we're together and they're like, oh, I'm alone again. You're not alone. Remember, you have a whole army of people here with me and the people in this room. So go ahead and meet. Paulina, will you break everybody up so we can talk it out a little bit? Breakout rooms are set up for you. Please go ahead, and we'll see you in a few. That's hard. Out, isn't it? Especially when someone's saying such nice things to you. That was a really, I got to pop into a couple breakouts, but that was beautiful. There is a lot of good stuff going on out there. And if you're new to this process, don't be afraid. We've all been new at one point in time. There are a lot of technical advisors out there, and some of them are on the screen around you. I want to go ahead and share my screen here real quick because I know we're going to run out of time before you know it. And ooh, which tab is it? It's going to be you for a minute, and then I'll figure out where you are. Right here. So this same website has the toolkit with a lot of good things, but I really want to draw attention to the very bottom of the page. If you need help, there is a support team out there. And these folks right here have self-volunteered their time to be someone you can reach out to. And you can look there throughout the whole state, and they're amazing people. And they will help you just with a conversation to start off with to get started because it is daunting and it's a lot. But you can reach out to any of them and they will help out. You are not alone. This application, I was so touched by someone saying in this last room that it is a growth model. It's not, are we good enough or are we not? It really is a growth model. You reapply, you send in your first application hoping you get something, but you get what you get and you get an idea. It's a self-assessment year, the first year. What are we doing? What can we grow on? And then we'll do an application review. I'll point you in the direction of all the great people around the state that can help you, and that's how you grow the next year. And that's what I hope that you see in this, even this network here. I hope you met somebody today that can help you. They can reach out to in the future, and continue the great work. So with that, I'd like to wrap up on time. And thank you for taking the time. And please start your work now. Connect with the people, get them all organized. Tell them that you are a part of my team and bring them in because you can't do it alone and you shouldn't do it alone. So thank you. And we like to wrap up. Really appreciate your time. We're here for you if you need us.